Hey guys, Raya here. As part of my emergency preparedness goals for 2024, I wanted to prepare skills for more dangerous scenarios as well. I've wanted to own a gun for a few years now, and I've really only shot rifles, but I want a handgun for home and personal protection. So I decided to find a local range that offered classes and rentals to be able to find the right one for me and to become proficient with it. Watch as I give it a try. Our local range offers a few different classes, but I took the Handgun 101 class to make sure I had correctly learned the basics. She taught basics like bullet sizes and the difference between full jacket and hollow point. She explained the pros and cons of different bullet types. Then she taught us about holsters, magazines, and loading the gun. I really liked our instructor. She was really knowledgeable, and it was nice to have someone with a similar worldview and hand size, because she was able to answer more unique questions I had as a short woman. I didn't record the whole class, but it was very informative and a good length of time. I decided to try out a Sauer for my first gun, and 9mm ammo since it is pretty standard and accessible. We practiced loading magazines, loading the gun safety, and correct grip. Then it was time for our first 5 shots. We went slowly on her count so she could give us feedback from the start. We were shooting from about 10 feet away. My first few shots were mostly pulling up and left, but I did get really close to the center on my last shot. Then we shot another 10 rounds with more feedback. I was generally a lot more accurate on that second set. I had less problems with my trigger finger and more with my wrist. She also let each of us try a shot with her gun with a red dot sight. I'm not sure if I liked having that or not. Then we did 10 more practice rounds on our second target. I switched to a Glock 17 for this target. We also practiced switching magazines between shots. I shot low and left the first few rounds, and then overcompensated with my aim and was shooting too high for the remaining rounds. I didn't love either gun. The SIG was a little small and the Glock felt too big in my hands. We went back to the range on another day to try some other guns sized in between those two, so we would both feel comfortable shooting the same gun. And again, we shot from 10 feet away. The Glock 19 felt like it was really explosive in my hands. I was generally accurate with it at first, but it felt a little big. Next, I tried the SIG P365X macro, which that instructor had recommended to me. It felt better in my hand, but it had a bit of kickback, and I started by pulling left on my shots, but adjusted and was a bit more accurate and clustered by the end. I tried a second set of rounds with both guns, and ended up feeling a bit more comfortable and accurate with the SIG, so that was the gun I decided on. Once I decided on the gun I wanted, I went home and purchased all the important safety gear and accessories. I started with a gun safe. I wanted one that had fingerprint access for quick needs, but also had a code and manual key as backup. I wanted it to be bulletproof as well, in case of accidents or emergencies. Then I looked for a good holster. I wanted one to sit on a belt, not for concealed carry, and I wanted it to not be too big, and be shaped to the specific gun. I wanted to get my own range earmuffs. I don't like sharing things with strangers, and I wanted to know they were clean. I decided to also get a set that included active noise cancellation. I got eyewear for the same reason, personal hygiene. I wanted a large pack to get them cheaper in case they broke. I searched for a gun cleaning kit as well. I wanted a small one that would fit in a range bag to keep everything together in my house outside of the gun safe. The last thing I bought was a range bag. I wanted one that was small and low profile, that fit all our equipment, and would fit maybe 2 or 3 guns, since that's the most I think we'd ever own. I also wanted it to have MOLLE strap adjustability for any future needs. All told, it came out to about $200 for all the accessories. We went to a different shop to purchase the gun, since I wanted a macro with the manual safety already installed. I just had to fill out a bit of paperwork and get a background check, and then I was able to take it home. The purchase came with the gun and a magazine, a chamber flag, a trigger lock, a second magazine, a magazine loader, 2 different sizes of back straps, a cable lock, and all the paperwork. The holster was pretty basic. It had a nice screw system on the back to be able to change the angle on your belt, as well as to be able to fit to different belt sizes. The safe came in a nicely cushioned box. I like that it came with batteries. It claims to fit 2 to 3 handguns depending on the model. I liked that it had separate off buttons for the sound and light, so it could still be illuminated but silent. I bought a 2-pack of earmuffs, so my husband and I each have our own set. These ones have a headphone plug, active noise canceling, and volume control. The eye protection is pretty standard, just clear glasses. The cleaning kit came with attachments for different sizes of guns and barrels. It also came with oil bottles and cloths. The range bag was a decent size. It had a small front pocket for accessories. The large pocket had space for 6 magazines, 2 gun pockets, and 1 Velcro holster. It also came with 2 D-rings. There was just enough space in the front pocket for all the accessories. I really liked the Velcro holster. Then I followed the recommendation to clean the gun before first use. It can come with a lot of extra grease and oil from manufacturing. I got some all-in-one cleaner, solvent, and oil. Then I prepped my workstation. I followed a tutorial video and took apart the gun. It was a lot easier than I expected. I pulled back the slide, pushed down the takedown lever, pulled off the slide, lifted out the recoil spring, and removed the barrel. I didn't buy microfiber cloths for this, which I definitely will for the next cleaning. I started the cleaning by using a nylon brush to remove any small metal or carbon bits. Then I used the little cloths to wipe everything down, to remove the grease and anything dislodged by the brush. I oiled a fresh cloth to get anything left over and start oiling the barrel. Then I oiled the outer barrel and the spring. I wiped down the slide, then oiled the rails and the whole outside. Then I wiped off the grip and oiled the rails. I also used the Q-tip to clean out any small areas in the grip and oiled the moving parts. Finally, I wiped off the outside of the magazines and oiled them. I know you can clean the internals of the magazines as well, but I didn't feel like that was necessary at this time. Then I put the gun back together. I placed the barrel, reinstalled the spring, and put the slide back on the grip. It was a little tricky to pull the slide back far enough to get the takedown lever back in place. I wiped the whole thing down with an oiled cloth again to get rid of the fingerprints. Then I checked that the magazine fit and locked back the slide. and it was done. Once I had everything I needed and cleaned the gun, I packed up my range bag and headed out to get some practice. I purchased the same standard 9mm ammo that was 115 grain, but I also got a few different types of hollow point. I tried 3 different brands with 3 different grains, 115, 124, and 147. The larger the grain, the heavier the bullet, and generally, heavier bullets hit harder and have more recoil. I started shooting from 10 feet away, just like my first 2 practice times, with 5 rounds of each hollow point grain. I realized after I probably should have warmed up with the full jacket ammo. It was honestly crazy how much more explosive the hollow point ammo felt. Hollow point rounds are a lot more aggressive, but that's what I want on hand for home defense. I did start off pretty accurate with the 115 grain, but had a couple bad shots. The 124 grain was a pretty straight line, but I pulled left. And then the 147 grain, I started more accurate and then began jerking too much. Then I did 10 rounds of the full jacket 115 grain at 10 feet away. I felt pretty accurate with that for the most part. Then I finished up with 15 rounds of that same full jacket, and I moved it back to 15 feet away. I will add the caveat that I hurt my middle finger on my right hand before coming to shoot this day, so I had to use a weird hand position for it to not hurt on this final range trip. And you can see that my grip would indicate that most of my shots I was having issues with fingertips or the trigger finger. I definitely still need practice. I want to get really accurate with this, but I do feel like I improved overall from the first rounds to the last. I'm glad that I made this purchase and that I took the time to do it right. Thanks for watching!